Doesn't have to be something you did. Hey, we're live. That was a moment there. Hey, welcome everyone to a very special edition of YubaSutterArts&Culture. We are presenting Songs for a New World. Well, not the show, but like the cast of Songs for a New World. Hey, ho. Woo! Welcome to everyone. Super exciting. Happy to have everyone here. We have the entire cast because, hey, it's 4 people and our music director, Gay, other side. Gay. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We're here to talk about the show, get you excited about it, let you know what the show's about, why you should be interested in it, and what it means to us, and like the different challenges and everything that we've encountered virtually, and having to record this and get it all set up for a virtual platform. Let me tell you, the journey is very real. So we're going to get started right off the bat. I'm just going to ask everyone to go around. We're going to say our name, and then if you could give like a quick synopsis of maybe places that you've done shows or like any training that you've had in the past, something that you're proud of, you know, little quick moments about like, hey, this is me as a performer in a nutshell. So let's actually start with Matt right below me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know.
My name's Matt DeMeritt. Training-wise, that's probably less than impressive. I have a degree in theater from San Diego State University. I directed theater programs for a number of years. I'm in education right now, teaching at Marysville Charter Academy for the Performing Arts, and love that, working with my awesome students. Strangely, I haven't performed much over the last, we'll say a few years. Not only because of COVID, but also because, I have a family and kids don't like it when you're gone at bedtime every single night. But jumping back into this has been an awesome experience. And this has been just a wonderful group of people to work with on a really amazing show. So excited to be here.
Oh, lovely. Yay. Thank you, Matt. Let's go up to Gay now. Your turn.
Sorry, had the unmuting part. So I music directed the show. I'm, of course, not performing in it, although I do perform jazz, piano, and vocals.
She's great at it, too.
Yeah, I have my master's in jazz piano, my undergrad in classical and music ed. Let me see. I came here about 7 years ago, and I assistant directed or accompanied, 20-some shows over the many years. And this was different.
Gay's just done a few things, and she's been the rock throughout all of this and everything. So we truly appreciate Gay putting together the tracks, getting them to all of us, and rehearsing consistently, and then putting all the tracks together again after we recorded them. And it's been quite the process, but we're super excited to be able to present that. So thank you, Gay. Let's go down to Janet next. Janet Frye, you up.
Hey. So let me see. Since everyone's talking about the degrees, I'm an associate's in music from Yuba College. Studied with Joaquina Johnson and Boyce while I was there. I've done stuff all over this area as far as theater goes. I did shows for Yuba City High School, Ponderosa Theater Company up in Brownsville. I've done shows at Yuba College Acting Company. Everything from musicals to very serious plays. Plus, of course, all the Applause series shows.
Sorry, music in the background. My house, that was totally my bad. I'm not sure what that was, but something just went off somewhere.
Again, the Applause series, which I really loved. Probably one of my favorite things that I was able to do recently was last year. I was able to direct and be in a production of the Vagina Monologues. So
lovely. Oh, and I know everyone's missing your rendition of Santa Baby.
Yeah. There's always next year.
There's always next year. And honestly, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there like, when's Janet gonna choose me?
Yeah. I get this sometimes. Get this one.
this way. So, love it. Perfect. Thank you, Janet. Next, we're gonna go to Kelly.
Hi. Hey, everybody. I'm Kelly Cunningham. So I've been doing stuff in this community for a long time. Joaquina Johnson was my voice teacher for 21 years. I sang for Borga Maria Lyric Opera Company in the early 2000s. And have done lots of stuff out at Yuba College, the acting company. I had a short season at Opera San Jose. And I'm just really happy to be here in my community and making art and working with the people in my community. So this has just been a beautiful experience. Like Matt said, working with amazing people. So yeah, it's been a long history here. I'm happy to still be here. So
Yay. Thank you so much. Yes, Kelly. And I've been introduced many a times, but I'll do it again. I'm Alex Cesena. I pseudo directed this from afar. I would give more credit to Matt and Gay on that end, since they were up close and personal in the trenches for all this, if you will. My personal background, I have a bachelor's degree in I couldn't think of my degree for a second. It's in theater management. Wow. Haven't said that in a while. Theater management is my degree. I traveled around the world for a couple of years teaching kids about acting, singing, dancing. And it's just been a wild ride and I love every minute of it. Excited to continue to perform in my hometown, but from afar. So, and I fly out every so often just to do the odd show here and there. So, but happy to be a part of this and supporting YubaSutterArts and everything that they do in our community. So this is a great opportunity, a fundraiser for them because they've missed out on a full year of any type of fundraising that they would normally get from different events and little things. And they provided a lot of different free things throughout the year, like their Artist Alchemy series and all about the arts show. And they've tried to keep the arts moving and flowing and show that it's still alive and well in the Yuba Sutter area. And so this is like a big moment for them to raise a bit of money and hopefully just let this moment shine as one of the history books. I think it's 40th year for Yuba Sutter Arts too. So this is one of their 40 things that they're trying to do this year. So thank you, Yuba Sutter Arts and Culture, for giving us this opportunity. So, but without any further ado, we kind of talked about our backgrounds a little bit. I want to give a quick synopsis for Songs for a New World. For those of you watching and you're just kind of like, I just don't get it. I couldn't find anything on Wikipedia. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. So Songs for a New World, it's not your traditional musical and it's not necessarily a song cycle either. It's more of an abstract musical, I would even say. It's its own beast. It's very interesting. I love every single moment of it. I've been wanting to do this since I originally heard the show, and I kept going around asking my friends. I was like, "Have you heard of Songs for a New World?" Well, you should. And they were just like, "Oh, yeah." So one of the best things I think to kind of sum up what the show's about, though, is a direct quote from the composer of the musical, Jason Robert Brown. And he said, "It's about one moment. It's about hitting the wall and having to make a choice or take a stand or turn around and go back." And it's just all those different points in life. We see those throughout the rest of the show. And I think it's a wonderful show full of life and vibrancy and highs and lows and moments of pure joy, pure sadness. Anything that you've experienced emotionally in life, you will probably experience again during this show. It's absolutely phenomenal. But kind of getting back to our cast here, I do want to ask, how would you compare this show, if outside of the virtual context, how would you compare this show to other shows that you've been in and or done? Let's start with Kelly on this one. What are some like pros, some cons? Like, oh, what's happening here?
Well, it was extremely challenging, I'll have to say. Having learned a full-on opera, this was right up there with vocally the stamina that it takes to sing. Each character has a lot to sing between solos, between group numbers, it's complex. And I would love to do this show live. I'm dying to do it live. But that's part of it. The challenge is sustaining yourself through the whole thing. Yeah. And it's an ensemble show. So everybody is equally important. We all rely on each other. We all have to listen to each other. We all have to blend with each other, and then also step forward as a soloist and just really bring something unique to the songs that are our own. So it's been wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Definitely. I've heard a lot about that being a challenging show. So excited for everyone to see how complex it is and what that entails as show moves on. Let's move to Matt. Matt, how would you sum this show up compared to other shows that you've done?
Obviously it's not the only 4-person or small cast show that's out there. There's a number of them. But it is definitely a 4-person Jason Robert Brown musical. So he's got complicated music, which I personally love a lot. I've been a fan of this musical for 20 years, and so I've listened to it a lot over that time. And I don't think I ever realized how complicated it was until I really started to break it down. Kelly's 100% right. It is a challenging piece of theater with challenging pieces of music. And yet it really is a joy to work on, because even though it was written 20 plus years ago, I think it's 25 years old. Mm-hmm. Even though the show is, I guess, old, I guess that's an old show. It is so timeless because it deals with things that we all experience. It deals with love and loss and poverty and wealth and the challenges of life. And so while it was hard to work on, it really was something that after a year of doing nothing artistic, I really liked. It was like training for a marathon to do this show. It was so gratifying to work on something that was so timely and powerful and said such beautiful things. And I think it was really, I mean, not to get too artsy fartsy, but it was a real part of like the full cycle of this pandemic experience of really studying human pathos and stuff like that in this show, and feeling some feelings. I don't know. I feel like I'm being too extra even for myself, but I love it. It's a great show.
I actually thought somewhat similar, especially to that last sentiment. I was like, oh yeah. This is definitely things that people have all experienced in this last year. It's a full circle moment. Yeah, so I definitely agree with Matt on that end. Janet, your turn. I know we did Sweeney Todd together, and Sondheim is known to be complicated and complex and whatnot. How would you compare like that to this even, or any other?
I think it was right up there. I mean, there were times where it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, thinking, how are we going to do this? Like multiple times. It was like, whew, this just physically demanding. And the thing that surprised me was how emotionally demanding it was as well. I mean, you get the gamut with this show. One of my songs I had to start learning immediately, because I knew if I didn't work this song now, I'd be crying during the song. And I am not one of those people that can cry and sing at the same time. I know there are people who can do that. Cassandra Fifield, I hate you. But I'm not that person. And I knew I have to be past that. And I still wasn't. I still got emotional during that song. And then one of my songs, like, we almost blew a take because I didn't warn the guys that were filming that this was going to happen. And one of the camera guys almost cracked up during one of my songs. And I think everyone, all the characters and all the songs, like through the emotional journey, there would be times where we would get done with rehearsal with just the three of us of a song, and we'd be like, goosebumps, I mean, it was like very touching. And so it wasn't just challenging vocally. I think it was challenging emotionally as well.
Love that. Yes, definitely. Great answer, Janet. Wonderful. Gay, from a jazz pianist, you have your master's degree in jazz piano. How does this compare to what you've done in the past?
Well, the thing about jazz piano, and he's obviously a jazz pianist, is it's not all written out, but this is all written out. I've known this for a long time, trying to play what somebody improvises is tricky.
Yes.
This is the hardest. I've done a lot of shows that were supposedly the hardest show. West Side Story. Believe it or not, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Was that the name of it?
Yeah.
I heard when those were hard. These aren't hard. Once you work on it a little bit. This one was hard physically to play. I had to record it hand separately anyways, because I had to record it and I couldn't do the page turns because I'm the bass player and the piano player. If I had to do it hands together, I would have been in big trouble. It would have taken a few more months to learn. But it was a lot of fun.
Good.
It's one of the most fun shows instrumentally I've ever done. And then when I start to hear the drums added in and the strings, it would have been so much more fun to play with them. But yeah, definitely the most difficult show I've ever done.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
I thought that was the hard part because I started with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel very honored actually to hear you say that. I just do. I don't know.
Yeah. And the harmonies you guys had to do. Yeah. But I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about the instrumental part. Difficult show.
Difficult show. Yes. Yes. Everyone knows Sondheim, who has those weird chords, the non-melodic melody, right? And so like you get Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd. Well, Jason Brown's a little bit more melodic, but not necessarily any less difficult or less challenging change-wise. We definitely get those weird, like, oh, we're adding that seventh here, huh? And that ninth, oh, on top. Okay. Yeah, we're doing all those things.
You have the different genres too, because you have the gospel and you have the hip hop, it brings so many different styles together.
Yeah.
There's actually one lick that I couldn't play. The one I had to record because it was throwing re-record. I couldn't play it at the speed I had to play it. I had to just improvise something. There was a lot of improvisation on my part, actually. But that part I had to because I couldn't play his lick at that speed.
Yeah. He's got some crazy stuff in there. And when you listen to live recordings and he redoes it, I'm just like, all right, someone's showing off now. But yeah, so overall, definitely cool to hear that this is a challenging show and probably one of the most challenging that we've all been in. I know for myself, like same story, always wanted to do a Jason Brown, and this is my moment. So I'm not throwing away my shot, to quote Lin-Manuel Miranda. But overall, great show. Super excited to let everyone see what this means. I know we're kind of like keeping you all in suspense. It's like, but what does all this mean? Well, you have to watch it. You have to buy tickets and come see the show. It's all virtual. We have tickets available. The link is in the chat. So if you click on that, we have 3 shows, two regular evening shows at 7:00 Pacific Standard Time, and then a matinee on that Sunday. So get your tickets now, right? Obviously we don't have limits though, which is nice, right? So you get to come in and buy tickets for you and your friends. And again, remember, this is a fundraiser, so we are asking that everyone buys their own individual ticket if possible. We understand financial issues though, obviously too. But if you can, please support. But moving right along from here, we're going to go into, because this has been a weird process, not just because we're trying to do this in the middle of a pandemic, but because we had to do everything over virtually, kind of like this. You guys all got to rehearse together, but I'm across the country and there's no way for me to get to you guys. So you guys had to record or rehearse just like your backup parts without me. And that's a whole different thing. And without a lead vocal on top, that's a challenge and a half. So Janet, I know this one always threw you for a loop. So how does that, like, you're used to having that lead vocal. What was it like just like having to work without it?
It was difficult. So when this first got posited to us, and of course, immediately Alex says, "You want to do a show?" Yes. and no context.
Right.
And I thought it was going to be this. I got my phone. I sing to the phone. Somebody slams it together. It'll be all good. Then when I started listening to it and was like, holy Moses, like, it's so complicated. And thank God, Gay Forever is going to be my
Yes.
favorite person, because we could not have done this without her meeting with us to rehearse. There's no way. Getting together, pounding out notes, and being able to do that. And there would be times we had worked on something, and we were like, we need Alex. We have to have Alex. And so I'm sure you're like over your computer singing literally to get us a vocal line so that we could sing, because it's so complicated and it's so complex that it doesn't work without the one part there. And it was very, very difficult. It was awesome that I was able to bond with my other two co-stars, cast members.
We'll go with co-stars.
Lovely people.
We're all stars here.
That was amazing, but we sorely missed you. So yeah,
and I missed you guys.
It was rough.
Let me tell you, I would have loved to have bounced off of you guys too, like just to feed off of your energy for a lot of these different songs. It would have been so nice.
Yeah, totally.
But here we are. We made it work, right?
Right. That's why we have to do it live. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. When we have everyone's back together, we're clear. We'll work something out. I'll take 2 weeks off of work.
Yay.
Yeah, I'd do it for this show in a heartbeat. Yeah, so that's awesome. I know, Kelly, did you have any thoughts?
Well, I was just going to say, like, that's the cool thing about this is that we've, we're taking something in the context, in the time that we are in, and we're making it work. And so this is so new to all of us. I mean, this is an ensemble show, and we missed you. Like Janet said, we had to work together to some degree to make it work. But it also just kind of goes to show, like, just how creative you have to get to make something work when we can't all get together. And I think this just broadens and opens up kind of the possibilities for the future. But that said, we all still want to do this live, and we want you to come back and just share the stage and rehearse together. And so it's just been a really cool experience to just make something work with what we have,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Can't wait. This is, we're going to have to do this live. End of story. There's no question about it. So no one's allowed to leave anytime soon. No moving. Talking about myself. But I'll get back there. Definitely. I miss home too. It's been a while. Awesome though. Any other quick thoughts on challenges of virtual rehearsals? Because we're about to get into a little next topic here. No, love that. Tom's asking, would anyone be willing to sing a short snippet? Let us. Everyone, I can see everyone starting to do their vocal warm-ups. Yeah, right in the background. Did you have something about virtual rehearsals there, Matt?
No. I think you guys all touched on it. The virtual, I will say this came into my mind because, as maybe some of the folks who are watching know, I'm a teacher, and I have been talking to my students about this all year, but this challenging process of having to do things virtually, while it's a huge hurdle, it's a hurdle in the way that a heavy weight is really heavy to lift. Like, right, you can get stronger by actually working with that process. And I will say that I think we all got to be better performers, whether we intended on that or not, by going through the process of having to think more globally than ourselves. Working together in a rehearsal hall is challenging. Don't get me wrong. We've all trained to do that, but it's something that we got used to. And this was a push out of the comfort zone that definitely got me thinking in a way that I know when I go to my next in-person gig, I'm going to be stronger for that. I'm going to be more ready to work quickly, to, meld with the group and whatnot. And I hope we won't ever take that for granted again. So, hopefully that's both a challenge and an encouragement to everyone else who's struggling through distance stuff.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? So here we are on the other side of this, and I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Got my first dose, getting my second dose in a couple of weeks. So excited. Things are happening, right? We're moving on in this world, and I can't wait to see what comes out of all this, and hopefully it's all good.
Alex, in this group, you are the last one.
I know.
Wow.
Well, here I
We'll
am.
comment on how that reflects on ages. Let's just keep
It's a major city thing. It's a major city versus small town thing. That's what we'll go with on that one. But yeah, so I'm super excited. Let's talk next about a little bit about the actual recording process, because I was on my own. I kind of went into a studio that I had to do a couple of back alleys to get into, and then I eventually found it, and I was like, hey, I'm here. And he's like, hey, here's my dog, and if the dog shows up in the recording, we'll just do it again. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was just standing there in front of the green screen, no one around me, small little room, just all these lights focused, and I was just like, gosh, I wish I had another person here. But you guys all got to do it together, and I know we have a couple of pictures from that experience. Yes, like, oh, there I kind of am. But let's talk a little bit about what this was like, recording wise, and getting in a camera, because we're not necessarily camera people, right? We're theater people. This is a big difference, and having nothing to feed off of and everything, whole new ball game. Actually, if I could start with Matt, because I know you kind of brought up the original idea of like using green screens. We were just looking at doing it from our phones and everything, and then we got into this whole professional recording thing. So Matt, what was it like to be in that recording space?
First of all, I did not know that I was the impetus for the green screen endeavor.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Green screening was super cool. I mean, the experience, obviously, the studio that we shot in, which is down in Rockland, was really great. It was an experience that I had personally never had before, even though I have done some green screen stuff, but it's never been to this extent. And the studio was really professional. The people that we worked with were awesome. Alex, I know it sounded like you maybe didn't have that same experience, and I'm sorry about that. But the folks down there were solid. The process of it, though, is very complicated when it comes to who's where and how we're interacting and whatnot, because we know that our physicality as it's being shot is not necessarily going to be in the same composition as we feel like it's being shot, meaning that they could move people around. Alex, you were theoretically kind of off to all of our right, and we were singing to you at times. And there was the whole process of doing a theatrical performance. We're all theatrical performers. We all done this before, and we all understand that, you get on stage, you've got adrenaline, you've got the excitement, you've got the energy of the crowd, and you perform for 2 hours, and then you go crash. It's exhausting. This was 8 hours of shooting. And so that adrenaline didn't last the whole time. It was really, a digging deep process, and trying to maintain connection to both the character and also to your own, vocal faculties, lining everything up and whatnot. It was a real fun challenge. It was a really cool experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, but it was hard. Yeah, absolutely. And very, very green.
It's not easy being green.
No,
right. But what an experience. Kelly, what are your well, I mean, you were ready.
Yeah, no, well, so just going off what Matt said, I think that, what I took away was a lot of reflection about the differences between being on stage and being behind the camera and in front of a microphone. And, microphones are usually not my best friend, especially singing opera. We have a very interesting relationship. And so I found that it was a lot different than being on stage in terms of listening to myself and listening to my partners, because under the microphone, under the lights, I really tended to kind of focus in on myself more than I would on stage. So taking this into if I ever record again, which would be fun, I'll definitely keep that in mind. As a learning experience. and just the overall energy of vocally, it was exhausting. I think that, you know, the way we set up the recording, we set up our solos first, and then we did more ensemble second. By the end of it, I was very vocally tired. And so it's just all part of doing something new and learning something brand new. But that said, we were all still performing. We were all very much in our element. I felt very comfortable. I like a camera. It's fun. So I hope I say that after I see the recording.
Yeah. I normally have this rule that I don't watch my own performances or listen to them, and I have to break that for this. So not enjoying that little thing. Yeah.
Well, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I
was about to ask.
thing. I don't like to watch myself. I don't like to hear myself because I'm so hypercritical of like every little thing. And so I'm like, I don't know how I may get up and walk out of the room when some of my stuff is happening. It's just, it's a problem I always had. I'm always very hypercritical of watching myself. And so the thought of doing it, I could not wrap my brain around how it was going to work out. Like it did not make sense to my brain. So once we got there, and Agrafino and his associate were amazing. They were so good about getting us set up, and everything they did was very professional. And I understand it's a process. So sometimes it took us, time to get things to happen. And which is, when you're ready to do your song, I want to go right now kind of thing. And you have to wait for them to get set up. Made it a challenge. But everybody there, getting the feedback from everybody, there's, that was really good. And standing around, okay, what are we going to do during this song when we're doing the group numbers and stuff was very, very helpful. And so working with people who were professionals, both behind the camera and in front of the camera, made it a huge difference.
Wow. Yeah. I wish I could have been there. Sounds like a good time. Would have been nice. Gay, I know you showed up a little bit to be some moral support. Most of your job was done by that point, right? But
I thought it was.
We thought it was.
That was interesting to watch. It was so hard to see them do 2 or 3 takes or start wrong and start over. Not at all like theater, of course. I have to take one of these out. That sounds so weird to not hear yourself. So, by the way, if you want to hear anything, I don't know how good it would sound, but I do have files that I could play a little snippet here and there. I was just actually checking Kelly's out to see. I have updated it since you heard it last, Kelly. But I could play a snippet, but I'm not sure if that would be good, if it would sound as good. But
I know Janet also was talking in the comments. She's offered to sing a little bit of.
That might be better.
Yeah, just a little something. Little something. So we might get a little bit of that right now. Janet, are you ready?
Sure. Look, but can I interject something really quick about
yes?
Jay? So during rehearsals, there were a couple of songs where like the music changes tempo, or it like really was slowing down, and so we were like, "Gay, we really want you there because we want you to direct us." And everything. And then we got there and no sound was playing in the studio. Everything was in an earpiece and the guys had a headphone to listen to it. So all you heard was us singing. And so we're like, well, it's not going to work, is it? Because Gay can't hear the music to conduct us. So it was a good idea at the time.
However, going out to dinner afterwards made it all worthwhile.
Yay!
There we go. Yes, dinner after. But I believe
there may have been drinks involved. I won't say.
Please and
this
thank
group?
You.
What?
Never. What? Does everyone have wine? I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A little. Matt's hydrating. Love it.
Kelly's hydrating too.
All right. Wine for the rest of us. But Janet, it is the halfway point a little bit here. So if you have a little something.
All right. So this is just the beginning of a lovely little number called Surabaya Santa. So we do it. I was just 17 when you rode into town, just a girl full of fantasies and longing. I saw you, I knew I had to be with you. Then you looked in my eyes and you asked me my name. Oh, and I trembled before you like a baby. And gently I kissed you. Who could resist you? You took me heart and soul. And before I had a chance to take control, we retired to your palace on the pole, where we only had ourselves and the reindeer and the elves, and a lot of things I could have said about the life I could have led if I had had the chance to stay away. But here we are, Nick. And so, Nick, I know it's time for you to go, Nick. There we go.
Yay! Wunderbar. Ja,
Wunderbar.
Yay!
I think we need samples from everybody. That was so good.
Yes. Yes. So that is one of the pieces in the show. Wonderful, fun, silly song all about Mrs. Claus and her relationship with Santa and the second Mrs. Claus, or the latest in the line of Mrs. Clauses.
The latest.
The latest. But it's a lot of fun. There are 2 Christmas numbers, you know, getting a little Christmas in your guys' hot weather back there. Apparently, I heard it was 90 already. Woo! Although I just had snow the other day, so trade-offs. Yeah, weather. What is it? But thank you, Janet, for that. That was awesome. But yeah, so that's a little bit of something. That's a funny one. Christmas Lullaby. The next song is the other Christmas song is very much more like a focusing inward type song and just release after that funny moment. I really enjoy the balance there and the juxtaposition of the 2 songs, one after the other. So can't wait for you to hear all of those with the backup and the drums and the strings and the piano. It's all so wonderful. So wonderful. But this is probably one of my favorite parts of the show. I want to ask everyone what your favorite song in the show was. It doesn't have to be one that you sang. It can literally be anything. If it's just for the instrumental reasons, just give a little snippet about why too. Just, you know, actually give a little bit of a snippet about why and what the song's about too, because nobody knows, right? Since it's a new show for a lot of people. Let's start. Oh, you know what? I'll start and then I'll go around. So for me personally, my favorite song, it changes a lot, but right now I think it's personally Steam Train, which is a song about a young man who's made it out of a poor, less than ideal situation. And it's originally sung by a black man, and it's about like, you don't know their life and you don't know where they're coming from, and you see all these highlights, but they also have a lot of tough stuff in their background that puts them where they're at today. And so I think it's very apropos to the moment that we're living in today. And I think that's why my mind kind of fluxed to there. So that's probably my favorite song right now. But let's move on. Gay, what about you? What was your favorite song overall?
Now, you realize there's 4 cast members. I can't pick a favorite. I worked with all of you.
Oh, I didn't mean to pick my own solo either. It was just because it was appropriate.
No, I can pick my favorite for each person.
Okay.
Although I'm torn on Alex's because I love the group ones you did. And I had to get the lists of the names up because they all go through my head. I loved the harmony ones, like on the deck of the Spanish sailing ship, and the what's the other one? I'm so bad with the titles. I mixed them up.
Flying Home.
Both of those were they're touching. The harmonies are fantastic. With Janet's, she had so many funny songs that that I'd love to pick one of those, but I think The Stars and the Moon is actually maybe my favorite.
Which is actually probably what Jason Robert Brown is best known for, actually.
Really?
In the world.
Great.
That's like his one big song.
Yeah, it's a very popular song.
Great song about what we think we want out of life and what it ends up maybe we really wanted, and growth. There's a lot to that song.
There's a lot.
Again, with all your songs, it was so hard. With Matt, it has to be She Cries. I bet, I also love The River. So that was a hard, we kept saying Matt sort of has lead on this and sort of has lead on that. But, and with Kelly, it was probably, I have to look at the titles. I'm so bad. Oh, I know it. I'm Not Afraid of Anything. I just, I like the idea of that song, what everybody else is afraid of, and she doesn't get it. She's just not afraid. Oof. Isn't that just you, Kelly? So the jazzy ones were fun to play, but that's was so many months ago. I don't even remember that now. So that's it.
Here we are on the other side of that. Yeah, but well, everyone got a little quick synopsis of what at least each one of us are singing there. So that's fun. Kelly, what about you? What's your favorite song in the show?
Well, so I'm terrible at picking one favorite. So I'll pick one from the first act and one from the second act.
Okay.
I think that the opening sequence, the Spanish sailing ship 1492 was just my favorite to sing. It felt good in my voice. The harmonies were beautiful. I love gospel. It's like it just resonates emotionally, physically singing. It just felt so good. It felt good to hear us, and it was kind of a go-to when we were struggling with some other ensemble pieces. We would come back to that one, and it pretty much always sounded good in rehearsal. And so it was kind of like this, all right, yeah, we got this,
Yes.
And then honestly, in Act 2, I got to do the only duet with Matt in the whole show, and we really rehearsed it. We really didn't rehearse it at all. And Matt and I came together literally like a couple of days before the recording. We rehearsed it, and it's a beautiful duet, and it was very accessible, I think, to us vocally. We just needed to rehearse it more, but the sentiment behind it, the meaning behind it meant a lot. And so it was fun to do that duet, the only duet in the show. And then, Sailing Ship, just a pleasure to sing, just felt good. They're all so fun though. And challenging. It's really hard to pick a favorite. I'll just say that.
It's one of those shows that like, you're like, yeah, I like all of these. I don't think there's a single number in this show where I'm just kind of like, I could skip this one today. Nah. I need each one of those songs at different points in the day or just in life in general. Matt, what about you?
Well, Kelly kind of beat me to the punch on this one. I mean, the shows rock. The show rocks. The songs are all amazing, and they're all fun to sing. So I like them all. But as far as, I guess I'll say it this way. You watch a show like this, you're going to connect with different songs at different points in your life. And being I guess I'll say the word middle-aged dude, the one about the marriage relationship really resonated. So that's the duet between Kelly and I. And it's got this whole thing about like, is it working? Is it not working? What's our dynamic relationally? We're coming back together after a time apart. I mean, it just has such a powerful perspective on, a season in life that many people go through. But I think the reason it resonates with me is because it's a season of life that I'm more in than the other ones. Over the course of my, working with the show or knowing this show, there's been, each of them have stuck out to me at point, but that was definitely the one that, as I worked on the acting elements of, that was the one that I think I resonated with me the most.
Love that. Yeah. It's such a wonderful duet. I would say it's almost simplistic for the rest of the show, but in that simplicity, it is absolutely stunning. And it's exactly the breath that you need at that point in the show. How they managed to do that, beyond me.
It's so easy that Kelly and I sang it like a month and a half ago, and we're like, okay, yeah, we don't need to work on that ever again.
Hey,
but
I feel that.
Then we realized we did need to work on it ever again.
Wow.
It was just one of those, like, it fit in our voices. It felt really good. Gay is mentioning the fact that none of us talked about Hear My Song as well. That's...
Janet?
I'm sorry.
Shut your face, boy. Don't jump your turn.
Yeah, well,
I'm done.
Well, Janet, do you happen to have a favorite?
No, I don't. That's right. Drink it. So since we're all bending the rules, so I was gonna say my favorite song that I sang was Stars in the Moon. I love that song. That was the song I had to learn first. It's going to remain in my repertoire. I'm going to do that song. Other times you're going to hear it. You're going to love it. You're just going to deal with it because I absolutely adore that song.
It's your song now.
It is my song now. I claim it. Shoshana Bean can step aside. Singing wise, I really loved Flying Home was awesome. I loved the vocals. I loved the way it built. It gave me goosebumps every time we got to the end of it. It was fantastic. But I really liked Hear My Song. When I went through and was like reading a synopsis of the show that our lovely Mr. Matt shared with us, it was talking about how, because Flying Home kind of feels more like it should be the of this show, and then Hear My Song comes in, and it brings in this tie of family of because the song is about, child, I know you're weary, and it's listen to mama, and I'll carry you home. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And I just think it's a lovely ending to the show, to pull it all together. And it didn't hurt that the poor alto mezzo is the one who gets all the little extra stuff, because the poor alto mezzo never gets all the extra stuff in group songs. And so I was like, yay, I get to do stuff. And then learning it, I was like, God, John, I get to do stuff.
Yeah, you get to do stuff.
But I did really love it. And I love the way that it ends, with the big swell on the end, and Kelly's beautiful, I have to belt this. Yeah, Kelly, you have to belt this right at the end of the show. And it was, I think it's a breathtaking ending of the show.
I agree. Yeah. It is a wonderful way to end the show. I think the opening and ending kind of like they feel almost very similar, but very different at the same time. Like you feel like you're meeting an old friend again when you finally come to the end of the show, and it's like, oh, I've heard this before, but I feel differently about it now. And it's just such a moment. Oh, I could get emotional about it right now.
It feels like the end, there's more like that, just that opening sequence. It starts with a little hesitancy, I think, and then it ends with a lot of confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I agree with that. Yeah, you're like, who knows what's happening? And then you're like, this is what's happened. Oh, yeah. What a moment. Oh, I got chills. Oh, so good. But that was wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. I'm so excited to hear your moments that you guys have presented for this and everything. I do have a last couple of fun facts before we end the show, though. And this is a moment where you get to click on your buzzers and answer if you want to. So my first question is this. Does anyone know how long the original Off-Way production actually ran for? Just a random guess. You can give it anything. Let's just go in order. Gay, give it a wild guess.
No idea. 2 years. No.
2 years. Got it. Kelly?
9 years.
9 years. Matt?
Was it a limited 3.5 week run?
3.5 weeks. Okay.
I was gonna say 4 weeks. So
4 weeks. Okay. Well, the original Off-Way production ran for a limited 3.5 week run.
I was looking up something on the show earlier, and I literally have it open on my second screen right here.
Interesting.
So you were
Very
playing like you don't know.
So you're a cheater.
My hands had been seen. I didn't type anything. I just happened to have the Wikipedia page open.
Interesting.
I won't
Cheater-
look up
cheater
anything
fans.
else.
Cheater fans.
Well, there's not too many others. That was one of the big ones. But yeah, so it was only 3.5 weeks, which isn't a long time for a show, but it's had its life and its breath since then. Very popular show, especially with community theaters, and it's had revivals. Most notably, there has been the revival most recently with Shoshana Bean and Conan Doyle, Michael Kilgore, and I can never say her last name, Celia. Yep, that one. But they did a quick run also. It was only 3 days, but they got to record it all and everything. So there's a recording of it. There's been West End productions, so many different things. So it's definitely lived on past those 3.5 weeks. But here's my second question. There is a very famous actor who was actually in the original production, who is a star in the show, the FX show Pose. Does anyone know who that star is? Also, they were in Kinky Boots.
Billy Porter?
Yes, Billy Porter.
Woo!
Yay. Yeah, Billy Porter. So
And
if
I
you
didn't
know,
cheat.
so if you know Pose or anything, Billy Porter is actually one of the original stars of the show, and phenomenal actor, phenomenal singer, all around. Oh, fashionable dresser too. If you know him from nothing else, you know him from dressing up at those award shows. He was the guy with the
fringy hat.
that had the curtains that parted in front of his face and everything at the Met. Killed it.
My favorite is the one where he's got the tux on the top and then the gown on the bottom.
Yes,
Oh,
stunning,
beautiful.
stunning. You know him from his outfits, if nothing else, because he's amazing. So Billy Porter, he was actually in the original production, and I also did say Colin Donnell. He is in Arrow. If you've ever seen that show on the CW, he plays the best friend of the Green Arrow. And so, there's been some famous people in this production, and they sing and they do things, and now we get to follow in their footsteps, and it's kind of cool.
Yay.
All right, this one isn't directly related to Songs for a New World, but it is Jason Robert Brown related. Jason Robert Brown actually got sued over one of his productions, and there's a really funny reason why. So I'm going to give you, I should probably give you a quick list of productions to choose from. That would be helpful. So let's say Jason Robert Brown's productions. I know you give it a guess. Out of Jason Robert Brown's productions, let's say he either got sued for Urban Cowboy, 13, Songs for a New World, or The Last 5 Years.
I'm going to say the last 5 years.
Okay. Anyone else have a guess? Any guesses?
I don't know.
No.
13?
13?
Yeah.
He actually got sued over The Last 5 years. So that was a good guess, Janet.
Thank you.
Janet's on a roll. The reason is The Last 5 years, he got sued because it's about his actual marriage with his ex-wife.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. And about his failed marriage. And his ex-wife sued Brown on the grounds that the story of the musical violated non-disparagement and non-disclosure agreements within their divorce by representing her relationship with Brown too closely. He sued and turned back, and as part of the legal settlement for both suits, Brown removed all references to the character being Irish Catholic, and he had to take out a whole entire song just to get his ex-wife on the right page. So
Wow.
But if she hadn't
What was
sued,
the name of that song?
nobody would have known.
right, nobody would have known. The name of the song is I Could Be in Love with Someone Like You.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah, which is actually one of my
Wow.
favorite songs.
Yeah. It's a beautiful song. I actually was
Great
just
song.
looking at the sheet music the other day.
It's in my book. Yeah. So it's
She's
a great
silly.
song.
She should have sued for royalties. Hello.
Right?
Yes.
Well, there was a movie based off of it and everything,
There
but
was.
she got none of that. So
Cha-ching.
yeah. So but all he had to change. Well, the fact of the song, the whole entire song is based around this entire fact that like, if you'll be Mrs. O'Leary, baby, I will be your cow. I'll deliver shamrocks daily by your new shillelagh. Right? It's all about her being Irish Catholic, and so she's like, "That's too close. I don't want to be sung about like that." She missed out.
Silly.
Wow.
Yeah. But I
want a musical written about me.
Right?
I'm on it.
One
Kelly.
of these days.
Even by your ex-husband.
Kathy
Right?
looks a lot better than Jamie in that musical. Let's just
This is true. But overall, that's been your fun facts about Jason Robert Brown and Songs for a New World. So, I just want to say publicly and in front of everyone that is watching currently, thank you to all of you so much. I know this has been a process. I know this has been a beast and a half to conquer and work through. But the fact that we have gotten this far and the fact that we've accomplished so much is truly a testament to the talent and the ability of our local performers and actors. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this, because it means the world to me. Honestly, I couldn't have hoped for a better cast. You guys were all wonderful. Thank you.
And Yuba Sutter Art, keep supporting them. They've done so much during this COVID.
Yes.
They've just kept things going, kept musicians, artists, everybody involved. So Dave and Abby headed up, and they're just doing a marvelous job.
Yeah.
And round of applause for them.
Yes.
This wouldn't happen without them, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, Alex. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for accepting
it saves my life. It really does. Making art is the most important thing to me, other than my family and just love in general. But thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's such a pleasure. And again, can't wait to do this in person, because it will happen.
Yes.
Guaranteed. So please, if you are watching this, or if you have anyone that you know that loves musicals or just loves songs and or stories, anything about the arts, or you just want to support YubaSutter Arts and Culture in general, please purchase tickets. The link is again in the chat, and it is available on the YubaSutter Arts and YubaSutterArts.org website. It is a professional show because we had it filmed professionally. We have a professional pianist. Everything here is super well done. And honestly, you're going to have your socks blown off just by the amount of sheer brilliance that is about to unfold on your screen. Honestly, can't wait for everyone to see it. Thank you all again so much. And from YubaSutter Arts and Culture, this has been Alex Cesena and the cast of Songs for a New World. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. See you when you watch the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.